final, and then the next 3 fastest non-automatic qualifying times. This heat featuring in lane number 6, LSU with the number 4 time in the country this year.
Well, they've been running fantastic all season long, have gone into 38.87 5 times, They will be the team to beat, but I think if there's a team that can beat them, they're in this heat as well. As we take a look down there to the lower right-hand part of the screen, that's the University of Houston. They have beaten LSU not once but twice this season, once at the Texas Relays and again at an LSU home meet. But Houston, always a powerhouse. They'll anchor with Sean Maswangani. He'll also run the 100 meters and the 200 meters open. But when you're getting coached by Leroy Burrell and Carl Lewis, you always put a great 4x1 team on the field.
Yeah, a couple of guys who know how to pass the baton, which is what this is all about. Many of these teams with great speed, but if you don't pass the batons efficiently, it is not going to go well for you. You see LSU there in lane 6, Houston in 7. Also watch for Arkansas in lane 5. Always gamers, always managing to get through into the finals in big meets. Finally calling them to their marks. And this 4-day collegiate extravaganza is about to get underway. That is Jordan Booker, who will start for Houston. For LSU, Dylan Peebles. And the spectacular Terrence Laird for the Tigers of LSU will be on anchor. He will be busy today anchoring this relay, running the 100 and the 200. And hold up. Lane number 2, Coppin, or Norfolk State, didn't move, may not have heard the instructions. So they will re-rack. Remember, these teams and all the individuals got here through 2 regional competitions that were held 2 weeks ago. The West Regional held in College Station at Texas A&M, and the Eastern Regional held in Jacksonville, Florida. Top 24 teams qualifying in the relays. There is no false start charged. And of course, we know now at every level of track and field, there are no false starts and having the athletes stay in the race. One and done. So there's Kai Cole, who is the leadoff runner for Norfolk State. He will start in lane 2. Ideally, you want to be one of the first 2 teams across the finish line, so you automatically qualify into Friday's final. From the inside, Norfolk State, then Coppin State, Purdue, Arkansas, LSU in 6, Houston, Georgia, and USC on the outside.
Well, Dylan Peebles made up the stagger real well in that Houston team just outside of them. There you see LSU really blazing in the middle of the track.
Was not the greatest pass for Houston. Now it goes from Travis Collins to Christian Hamberlin. Now Houston moving nicely through the turn, as is Arkansas and LSU. They're almost directly abreast. This is going to be a tough fight for the top 2 marks, or the top 2 finishes. It's LSU. Now here comes Houston. It's going to be LSU and Houston. Terrence Laird with a little dialogue to Sean Maswangani. So it is LSU who wins the heat. Unofficially 38-66. Houston second, so they will automatically qualify. And we've seen Terrence Laird fired up before. Here is the first pass.
Well, that's Dylan Peebles. He passes there to Noah Williams, a 400-meter star, and they've already got a lead on Houston as they go into the final exchange there. Nobody better on the final leg than Terrence Laird. He has been running people down all season long. You can be behind and give Terrence Laird that baton, and he will run people down. And I don't think Terrence Laird was really saying anything to Sean Maswangani from Houston. He was just looking to his right, making sure that he was clear. But Dennis Shaver said they were going to tighten up those. They were going to play it a little safe in the qualifying rounds, and then he was going to stretch it out in the finals and really try to create some distance in those exchange zones. And
now it's time to make more history as we get to the second heat of the 4x1.
All right, John, we know that LSU and Houston will be in Friday's final. Now the second of 3 heats to determine the next 2. And this heat featuring North Carolina A&T, and they have really come on strong in a number of events, especially the 4x400 relay, which we will talk about a little bit later. They will be in lane 7. Just inside of them, it will be the team from Texas A&M, perennially in the hunt and in the mix for the title in the 4x1 and the 4x4.
Well, Emmanuel Yeboah, well, he'll go first for Texas A&M, but go back to that North Carolina A&T team. When you talk about LSU coming in here as the overwhelming favorite, they brought more athletes and qualified more people than anybody else, but I think if there's going to be anybody that makes a dent in that LSU point total, it could be North Carolina A&T, because they line up in a lot of the same events. North Carolina A&T, they got a reputation for being a great 400-meter school, won the indoor 4x400-meter championship, but here they are with the second fastest 4x100-meter time of the season.
So once again, ideally, you want to be first or second in this heat. Then you automatically qualify for Friday's final. But in the absence of that, right now you need to be under 39 seconds if you want to advance. Looking for the team in lane 3. It appears as though Arizona State did not report. Lane 3 is empty.
Arizona State, their 4th member of the 4x100 meter team, got a late COVID positive test, and he was not able to make the flight. I actually flew over with the Arizona State team from Tempe to here, and they were 1 man short. It's disappointing for them because they ran 39.67 to get through to qualify for this meet.
So lane 1 open, lane 3 not occupied. Arizona State is a did not start. So 7 teams. In this second of 3 semifinal heats. Sam Houston State in 2. Then we go to 4 with Iowa, Ohio State, then Texas A&M in 6. Then North Carolina A&T, TCU, and Kentucky.
Well, TCU looks like they're off to a good start. They started off with TJ Brock. They were the Big 12 champion this season.
Pretty even in the middle of the track right now. Looks like North Carolina A&T and Texas A&M as we expected. A&T running a great third leg by Daniel Stokes. Then to Javante Harding. North Carolina A&T has things well in hand, but here comes A&T. And then on the inside, it is Texas A&M trying to hang on. And TCU coming up late to maybe grab that second spot. It was very, very close. It is A&T at 39 flat, and then A&M TCU just in third by 100th of a second.
Well, that's a Kareem Sirleaf. He'll hand off to Randolph Ross late in the zone there to Randolph Ross, and Texas A&M had the early lead. And this is here we see the third exchange. North Carolina A&T was behind at this point, and it was only by the strength and the running from Javante Harding that brought them into first. That's Jace Comic for Texas A&M bringing home the anchor.
So A&T wins the second semifinal heat and books their ticket to Friday's final. A&M also in there at second, and then just 100th of a second back is TCU. Now it's a matter, is there time strong enough at 39.24? I don't believe that it is, because the 4th and 5th places in heat number, 3rd and 4th places in heat number 1 were under 39 seconds. So we'll have to take a look with one more semifinal heat to run. That's the importance of finishing first and second, and you could see the difference in the way that the baton was passed. That is Randolph Ross, son of head coach Dwayne Ross, who in his day was a pretty good hurdler for the U.S. All right, we move forward to the third and final semifinal heat, waiting for Florida State to get their leadoff runner back into 6th. So let's take a look at Texas. That's Daniel Garland will be their leadoff runner.
Well, they've had a strong year, very consistent. Edric Florial said this team was ready to run fast, and I asked him if he was going to make any adjustments here in the qualifying, and he said nope, he's going to let it all hang out because he thinks that lane choice is very important. He wants to run his best team and get the best lane possible going into the finals.
Checking with our crack statistician, Rich Benoit, TCU is on the bubble right now. They have the second or the third fastest non-automatic qualifying time. As we look at lane 6, Florida State, this is Taylor Banks will be their leadoff runner.
And Florida State has run extremely fast this year. They got a great anchor, Jovan Martin, leads the country for the best time in the 100 meters. It was windy, but he ran faster than everybody else. There you see him out in lane 6. They have gone 38.67, and they've just got a young man, Kassan James. We saw him, it was over 2 years ago, we saw him compete at a high level. They're back in Birmingham, Alabama, and he went through a series of injuries to get back on the track. There's Jovan Martin, but Kassan James is finally healthy, and he gives this Florida State Seminole team a really big boost there on that second leg.
It's Micaiah Harris next to him for the Longhorns. So you want to finish first or second to automatically qualify, but if you're going to finish third, you've got to run faster than 39.24. Because that is the bubble time for TCU from heat number 2, semifinal number 2. All the teams have checked in for this third and final semifinal heat. From the inside, BYU, Mississippi State, and Oregon. Then Texas, Florida State, and Texas Tech, and Clemson, North Carolina State on the outside.
Well, that's a good run for Taylor Banks from Florida State.
Texas had a very rough handoff. They're well behind. Florida State passes first, and running well through the turn is Dondria Swint. And also Clemson on the outside of 9-8. Florida State leading, but here comes Clemson. It's going to be Florida State, Clemson, and Texas finishing third. Did they run fast enough? They had to be under 39.24 in order to advance. They did it. Texas will be in, TCU will be out, and Texas Tech may sneak in.
Well, look how far back the Texas runner-up, Daniel Garland, way back. Texas had a long ways to go. Oregon on the inside. You hear a lot of people whooping and hollering. It looks like Oregon will have a chance to get through there. But there you see Florida State on the final exchange. JoJo Martin just went out a little in the yellow line on the bottom of your screen, the track. I do see a yellow flag up. We may see a disqualification here.
They were really, really going close to the end. Remember, the baton must be passed inside the zone, and they were very close to the end of it. So far, it is Florida State winning the heat and automatically qualifying, but we will have to see how that is adjudicated with that yellow flag. But for now, LSU had the fastest time in this heat. Florida State winning it at 38.75. Clemson second. Texas and Texas Tech both under the bubble time that TCU had, but that may all be changed when they decide whether Florida State passed that baton inside the zone. And we will keep you apprised of what exactly happened there as we look at the at least preliminary advance to finals. LSU with the fastest time of the day at 38.66, and you had to run 39.14 in order to. Our next, there is the NCAA championship record from 40 years ago, and the collegiate record was set this year by that young man, the junior from Notre Dame, Yared Nuguse.
Well, he also comes in as the defending champion. He won this event here, at Texas in 2019. He's the first athlete since 2013-14 to try to attempt to win back-to-back titles when Mac Fleet did it for the University of Oregon. just 7 years ago.
And we've seen this young man a lot this year as we cover the SEC during the season. Ilya Kipsang, the freshman from Alabama, number 4 on the all-time outdoor college list. This is his first NCAA outdoor championships.
Well, it's a little strange to see that this is the only event he's competing in as well. But I like it. He's going to be able to put all of his focus here. Next to him, you see him second from the right. Next to him, Sam Tanner, who has run extremely fast this season as well. But at the NCAA Indoor Championships, he was scheduled to score some big points in the 800 meters for Washington, but did not get through to the finals.
So as I mentioned, 24 athletes total qualified to come here from the 2 regional championship meets, regional events. 2 heats of 12 athletes. They're going to have the top 5 across the line will automatically qualify to Friday's final. Then the next 2 fastest times over the 2 heats. So just trying to cut the field in half for Friday's final.
Well, Yard Nagoose is definitely familiar with this facility. He was here for the Oregon Twilight meet and took down a couple of big names winning the 1500 meters. Took down Cole Hawker and Cooper Tier in a really exciting finish there. And so you can expect fireworks if those guys can all get through to the finals. And here we see Kipsang doing what he always does. Coach says just do enough to win the heat, but you can always expect a little more from Kipsang.
Saw him running a very aggressive semifinal at the SEC Championships at A&M about a month ago. He's looking down at his watch to see what his first lap was. It was pretty aggressive, 56 seconds in a semifinal heat.
Well, the SEC Championships, so he was scheduled to run both the 15 and the 800 meters. A really difficult double, was not able to come away with the victory in the 8.
But he loves running out there all by himself. He does a lot of looking around and looking back. But if memory serves, he ran like 3:37 in the semifinal at A&M in very windy conditions. Nagoose, he's the collegiate record holder. He's staying within himself. Just wants to be in the top 5 at the end of this in order to advance. Most of the field realizes Kipsang out a little aggressively. Don't really want to follow that kind of a time in a heat.
Well, Nagoose has won all the majors that you can. He's got a conference title. He's got a cross-country title. He's trying to win back-to-back championships. He took the NCAA Indoor Championships off in 2019 so he could help his team win that distance medley relay. Did not run the individual mile at those championships.
Kipsang throwing in a 60-second lap. They went through a 1:55. At least he went through in 1:55. The pack probably went through in a 1:57. So it's a very honest pace. Kipsang coming up to the bell, and the rest of the field starting to get a little bit more serious. You can see them starting to get in position for this final 400 meters. Remember, top 5 finishers automatically qualifying to Friday's final. Kipsang out there all by himself, pushing the air aside. Luckily for today, not a windy day in any way. Perfect for middle distance running with temperatures in the high 60s. Nagoose now moving into second.
Nagoose is just so smooth. He's just so efficient. His arm action is just so minimal. Really reminds me a lot of Saeed Ouida back in the day. Dwight, it's a name that you might remember.
Sure, back in the mid-80s, mid to late 80s. So Kipsang now has done all the work. Looking around to make certain he's fine. Nagoose is also in good shape. Salisbury of Georgetown is also there. So the top 5 have easily separated themselves from the rest of the field. 3:37 again for a semifinal heat. They are serious. John Anderson said this may be the best event in the meet. Looking around to make certain he's fine. Nagoose is also in good shape. Salisbury of Georgetown is also there.
Garcia Romo there coming up on the outside.
Have easily separated themselves.
Looking around. But this is a typical Iliad Kipsang. Typical Iliad Kipsang run. He's going to use all of his energy in the first 3 laps and just hang on. But I like it. He made it an honest pace, made everybody else work. Nobody was going to get through to the finals without putting in some really solid laps there.
That's the fastest qualifying semifinal in meet history, and 4 guys under 3:38 in a semifinal. The old time is 3:39.32, so they are serious here and putting down some good times here at the new Hayward Field. As we move on to second semifinal, and the Oregon folks are going to love this. Cole Hocker, the freshman from Oregon, the NCAA indoor mile and 3,000 meter champion when we had the meet in Fayetteville back in March.
And there in the middle of the track in the blue and red, that's Waleed Suleiman from Ole Miss. He's your your SEC outdoor champion. But it wasn't long after Cole Hocker won those indoor titles that people began to start talking about him making an Olympic team. He has the Olympic trials qualifying standard, but he does not have the Olympic A standard as of yet.
No less than 3 Oregon Ducks in this second semifinal. By the way, the bubble time to get through, 3:39. So these guys cannot come out here and make it a tactical semifinal. They've got to run for real.
Well, the other Oregon athletes, James West, the senior, and Reed Brown, they both have run faster than 3:39 this season.
That is James West currently leading with his teammate Cole Hocker in second. And surely they know the situation, what they have to do. Now, of course, the main thing is to try and be in the top 5. Then it doesn't really matter what the time that is that you've run.
Talon Franco from BYU hanging out in 3rd position. And that's Paul Ryan from Washington State there, hanging out in 4th. As you see Waleed Suleiman now. Looks like he's a little boxed in.
58.8 for the first 400 meters, so well behind the pace set by Kipsang, but Kipsang was by himself for most of the race until about 300 meters to go. So still a very honest pace that Cole Hocker is now taken over from his teammate James West.
We're expecting to see Cooper Tier in this race, but he's only slated to run in the 5,000 meters.
Casey Comer there in Villanova, staying out of trouble on the outside of lane 1 or into lane 2. It's a 61-second tour of the track, so right around 1:59, almost 2 minutes. So they're going to have to move things along. For those athletes who are not going to be in the top 5, they could be in trouble. We might get the people through on time from semifinal number 1.
And I think Waleed Suleiman senses that certainly as well as he goes to the front and tries to pick up the pace a little bit with Cole Hocker.
Suleiman was the 1,500 meter SEC champion 2 years ago.
And we just lost 2 people towards the back of the pack.
They're not moving there in the far turn as we get the bell. We're now down to 10 athletes in this race. Hocker still leading from Suleiman. Definitely picking things up now. You can see the turnover start to increase. That was a 58-second 400 meters for Hocker, going through in 2:56.1. So this has become very similar to the first semifinal in terms of time. Hocker over Suleiman. And Paul Ryan by himself there in 3rd for Washington State. Talon Franco of BYU in 4th. And West and Reed of Oregon looking like they are going to be not automatically qualifying. Maybe Ryan on the inside getting that 5th and final automatic qualifying position. We'll have to wait till we see the official results. Hocker winning the race. But let's go back and look at the collision that took two of the athletes out.
Well, there you see just at the back of the pack there, and that's the Michigan.
Tom Dodd, the junior from Michigan, tangled up with Dias Malabana of Nebraska.
Both guys go down hard, but Cole Hawker's kick finishes this season have just become absolutely legendary. Even when he doesn't win the races, he has such fantastic last laps. He's run even a couple of 54-second closing laps on some of his distance races, but just one of those guys who can bring it home.
All right, we'll get the results sorted out and give them to you when we come back from the break. More from Hayward Field after this. Brown, who did sneak in on that 5th place on semifinal number 2, so 2 ducks into the final. It should be a wild one on Friday, the way these guys ran this semifinal. Next event on the track, the men's 3,000-meter steeplechase. We will have 2 heats, same as the 1,500. The first 5 across the line will be automatically qualified through to Friday's final. This heat is featuring Ryan Smeaton of Oklahoma State, who we will identify for you. He the runner-up from 2 years ago, highest returner. And then Keegan Chamati of Middle Tennessee, the senior for the Blue Raiders.
Also returning from 2019, he was your 3rd place finisher. He was your Eastern Regional top qualifier.
Virginia Tech, the Big Sky champion from Montana State, Duncan Hamilton.
When you look at the different regions from a qualifying standpoint, it took 8:45 in the East region to qualify for this race and 8:42 in the Western region. So the regions were very equal, but I'll tell you what, Dwight, I can't get over looking at that records. Those records by Henry Rono, 8:12 and 8:05. 8:12 for the meet record, 8:05 for the national record. That is just absurd.
And that 8:05 was running a dual meet way back in the day. Duncan Hamilton of Montana State. As we see a little bit of rain starting to fall, which was not forecast for today, but remember, we're in Oregon in June. As we see the spectators starting to retreat up to the covered areas of the new stadium. Of course, the steeplechasers hardly notice. I mean, they do jump into the water 7 times on purpose.
Eugene, Oregon, the only place I've ever been where it's you can be in the sunshine and it can be raining on you.
And that's going to make it just a little bit cooler here with the breeze picking up ever so slightly. 28 total barriers, 7 water jumps in this 3,000-meter steeplechase. So they are underway with 6 laps to go. We will step aside and return with more of this first semi-final heat in the steeplechase here at the NCAA Outdoor Championships. We're back in Eugene, Oregon. First semifinal heat of the 3,000-meter steeplechase on Men's Day, Wednesday, semifinal day for the guys. And still, as it was from the beginning, Duncan Hamilton, the sophomore of Montana State, is leading this field. The first 5 finishers in this semifinal heat, and the second one will automatically qualify through to Friday's final. Then the next 2 fastest on time. 3 laps remaining.
While we've been seeing some real exceptional record-breaking runs by distance runners across the country, the steeplechase is one of those events that just hasn't had those exceptional times. Nobody's been under 8:30 this season. Ryan Smeaton, his PR goes back to 2019. He's gone 8:27. There you see him, the orange shorts. Real efficient hurdler. That's Jackson Messler on the outside for the Oregon Ducks. Local kid from Sheldon High School. His parents both were track and field athletes for the University of Oregon. His sister on the cross-country team. Got to be exciting for him to be running in this stadium in his own hometown in front of the home crowd. 2-time Oregon 6A champ.
In the all red, that's Bennett Pasco of Arkansas State, who's right there in the mix in 4th place currently. Smeaton into the lead for the first time with 2 laps remaining. But most of this 12-man field still very much in contention for those top 5 automatic qualifying positions.
Stokes of Georgetown and Johnson.
Hamilton starting to show a little fatigue from leading the race for more than half of the time. Now Keegan Chamati of Middle Tennessee moving into second place, protecting his position.
Chamati had double duty at the Conference USA Championships, where he won the steeplechase, had to come back in the 5,000 meters where he was third there. As you see Messler creeping up on the outside. He has gone 8:36 this season.
That is Parker Stokes of Georgetown now on the inside on the rail as they come up to the bell. He's put himself in contention, now in third. Jackson Messler of Oregon, the crowd likes that.
What's interesting about the steeplechase, as well, as you begin to fatigue, you can't take your focus off of those hurdles. You catch a toe, you catch a heel, and down you go. Those hurdles do not move. But as tired as you are, you even have to have more focus every time you take off.
Pasco out there on the left, giving himself plenty of room to negotiate those barriers, and now sprinting almost into the lead as they come up for the final water jump. At least a little less than 150 meters remaining at this point, and the jockeying for the top 5 has begun. Chamati there, Pasco is there, Smeaton is there, as well as Stokes. Hamilton still hanging in there. And there's a lot of guys there trying to get those top 5 spots. It looks like Pasco is going to win the heat. Smeaton there, Chamati. Hamilton hung in there after putting out a lot of energy the first 5 laps. And Messler may have to wait to see what happens on time,
because they didn't have a conference meet. You know, they're not in a conference, so they didn't have to compete, and so they're one less championship on their legs as they get into these championships. And that might be the difference here, as certainly as we get maybe into the men's 10,000 meters later tonight.
And you know what I like to always say about the BYU athletes when we're down here at sea level? They are drowning in oxygen, in that they live and train up in Provo, Utah, which is about a mile high. So a bit of an advantage for them to come down here to close to sea level. So just to remind you, the first 5 finishers in this second semifinal heat automatically qualifying to Friday's final. They know what the first heat ran. Right around 8:31 was the time for all of the automatic qualifiers. You've got to beat 8:32.95 if you were going to be outside the top 5. So they know that going in, a bit of an advantage for the later semifinal heats in all the events when they know what the times are that have been run in front of them.
This is Alexander Korzinski from Northeastern University out front. He's only run 8:44 this season. He looks like he's trying to establish a nice quick pace here to start us off.
That is Garrett Marsing of BYU that is right there, second. Along with Alec Baston of Minnesota, the Big Ten champ. It's early on here. We were expecting this kind of rain for Friday. It is forecast for the men's final to be raining. Maybe we just got the weather a little bit early. But this is making it awfully difficult for a lot of the field event athletes, where it's rather dangerous to be competing in the rain. You see the shot put circles filling up with rain. The high jump aprons where the decathletes are contesting that part of their event is also starting to get very wet.
Only a handful of spectators were able to get under the cover of the old Hayward Field, so a number of these spectators, I'm sure, are real happy about this new design. But as soon as that rain really kicked in, you could hear it thundering down on the overhang. So you knew how hard it was raining.
We are up at the highest point that you can be in the stadium. So but a lot of the spectators retreating up closer to us now. So with the little less than 6 laps remaining. We are going to step aside and pick up the end of this semifinal heat. You are watching a rainy first day of the NCAA Track and Field Championships. Back in rainy Eugene, Oregon, which is a tautology. Second semifinal heat of the men's steeplechase. Less than 3 laps remaining, and the field very tightly bunched. Looking for the top 5 finishers to automatically qualify through to Friday's final. And the next 2 fastest time. Pretty much everybody but 1 athlete, the 11 out of 12 athletes, very much in contention for those 5 automatic qualifying positions. If you aren't going to make it in there, by time, you better run faster than 8:32.95 to make it through. That was the bubble time from semifinal heat number 1. Alexander Korshinsky, the junior from Northeastern, continuing to lead as he has from pretty much the beginning. Remy Shins of Butler, the Belgian athlete for the Butler Bulldogs, is right in there as well in second place. And Albert Koske, the senior from Louisville and Kenya, of course, also right in the mix. 2 laps remaining now.
Well, and when you think about these synthetic surfaces, the only thing that can really affect these athletes, because you got spikes in your shoes and you can run in a straight line, but it's when you leave the ground and your heel touches on these rubberized surfaces that really cause some carnage. And I think probably no place is it more evident than in the water jump. These athletes step on that barrier to push themselves off, propel themselves over the water. They want to take 1 step in the water and out they go. And the water jump has been a very precarious place in this second heat.
That's Derek Johnson, the sophomore from Virginia, who has now taken the lead and started to push the pace. Korshinsky now back in 5th place. He was running well ahead of his personal best pace through most of this race, but still hanging in there in 5th place. That's the magic number. You want to be in the top 5 to book your ticket to Friday's final.
Well, the lap before this one, Alec Bastian from Minnesota, he tripped coming out of the water jump, put 2 hands inside of the rail as we go to 1 lap to go, but he's now worked his way up towards the front.
So it continues to be Johnson of Virginia, 4th at the conference ACC steeplechase just about a month ago. Looking full of run, to be honest. And Korshinsky is now racing himself into 3rd. So he's saved his best performance for right here in this semifinal to try to get through to the final. Looking to retake the lead right up there with the leader Johnson as they go over the water jump for the final time. And had trouble getting out of there. And it's Korshinsky that had trouble negotiating that water jump. That's a shame. Derek Johnson still leading. And it is Bastian of Minnesota, Marsing of BYU, and those are an easily discernible 5 people across the line first, so they will automatically qualify for Friday's final. That's Kai Robinson of Stanford, the freshman. And Korshinsky just had such bad luck. Very tired, obviously. He just had to negotiate the water jump for the last time. So Virginia gets the first steeplechase finalist since 2013. But let's take a look, few of those spills. Korshinsky, what a shame. He led most of the race, dropped back, then was rallying to get into the top 5. There he is early on, but there you can see outside the yellow line or inside the yellow line, that might be a problem. Didn't see a yellow flag, so he might have dodged a bullet there, but you saw Korshinsky got a little bit twisted there on that last water jump.
And it's tough to get good push-off here as you see Kai Robinson from Stanford bring it home. But you get on that water jump barrier and you've got to get a really great push-off. And with it wet like this, if you don't get your spikes on it, you are in trouble. We saw 3 different guys go down in that heat. There's Alec Bastian. He was one of those guys that came back. And yeah, you're right. Alexander Korshinsky, he was making a run at it. But when you go to your kick, you change your stride pattern a little bit, and everything changes as you go into that final barrier.
So here are the results of that second heat. It was slower than heat number 1, so you'll get your time qualifiers for the first semifinal heat. But the top 4 that you see there, they will be in Friday's final, led by Kai Robinson, the freshman from Stanford. Bad luck for Alexander Korshinsky, who took a spill in that final water jump. Here are your advancers to finals. It will be a 12-man final on Friday, where the weather is forecast to be much as we are. Damian Thomas with a good start in lane 4. Sam Brixey in lane 2 down. There goes some carnage. Ackendale of Houston is out of it. Damian Thomas has got the heat to himself, but out on the outside, Jamar Marshall of Arizona State coming up hard at the end. Might have gotten that second qualified position. Thomas winning the heat in the fastest time of the day, 13:47. It is Marshall getting that second automatic position out in lane 8. Now let's see what happens. Ty Brown at 13:68. That beats the bubble time, so he will advance along with Dunning and Ojora of USC from semifinal 2.
Well, that's Dio Akindele from Houston that went down on the third hurdle, but look at Damian Thomas, just so efficient. He's just so clean, doesn't hit any hurdles. There you see now he's in the middle of your screen there, but he just looks so patient, and that's what you have to do in the hurdles. Let the next hurdle come to you. It's almost like you're running high knees, letting that hurdle come to you. He just brushes a couple of those hurdles, but whatever injury he had, he looks like he's 100% now.
And this is tough conditions for anybody who does have a muscle energy. It is not warm out here. It is wet, as we see Akindele getting up from that fall. You know, this event is hard enough and dangerous enough as it is. Adding water to it just makes it tougher. Thomas winning it with the fastest time of the day. Marshall out in lane number 9 getting through on an automatic qualifier. Ty Brown runs fast enough to advance. There are your advancers. So Dunning dodging a bullet from Alabama, but he will have a lousy lane draw. But there are your finalists for Friday. It should be a hot one in the men's 110s. So when we return, it'll be the speedsters, the sprinters, the 100-meter sprinters when we return to Hayward Field.
Rated everyone 10 and up.
Ratchet and Clank!
The hurdles. So let's get that off the books as we look at Micah Williams, the freshman from Oregon. Get a big round of applause here from the partisan crowd. He will start out in lane number 5.
Well, Micah Williams, Dwight, is the fastest kid ever from the state of Oregon. Won numerous state championships. He was a 60-meter indoor NCAA indoor champ. There you see Joseph Famboulais of Florida, and we've seen him run a few different times this season. A little bit of a slow starter, but man, he closes like a freight train. If he can get a better start, he can certainly be a factor and somebody else to keep an eye out on in this heat. Look at lane 6, Joseph Amoa from Ghana. He's run 10:01 for a personal best, but he made the finals at the 2019 championships in both the 100 meters and the 200. He'll be heading to Tokyo as part of the Ghana Olympic team.
So Micah Williams in lane number 5. Famboulais of Florida, also a freshman, in lane number 4. Same qualifying as the 110 hurdles. The first 2 finishers automatically qualifying through to Friday's final. Then the next 3 positions on time over the 3 semifinal heats. Standing up, they were having some trouble with positioning on the line. Aside from the temperature, ideal conditions for running fast right after a rainstorm, which has not yet finished. It's Taylor Banks, Florida State. He's on the inside in lane 2. Lance Lang of Kentucky.
And they return to the box. Semifinal number 1, men's 100. Following this race, introductions of flight 1 in the men's javelin.
On your screen, it is lane 2 on the right, out to lane 9 on the left. Joseph Famboulais of Florida in 4. Micah Williams of Oregon in 5. Williams with a great start. Fambule with a terrible start. Makai Williams dominating here. Can Fambule get back in it? He did not finish in the top 2, but that's the second time we saw the same thing at the SEC. Had a horrible start in the semifinal and managed to get himself through into the final. But Makai Williams looking very good. 10-11 with a .9 trailing wind, and the wind is swirling here at Hayward Field as weather moves into the area. Taylor Banks on the inside from Florida State got that second automatic qualifying position, and Fambule raced himself into 3rd.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Dwight. Fambule got a horrible start. Makai Williams, he is known for his starts as he is a great starter, but I was kind of surprised that Lance Lang was so far back, but Fambule gave it everything he had in those last 30 meters to get back into this, and this just drives Mike Holloway absolutely bananas. He wants him to engage a little bit earlier. But Makai Williams, man, he's just everything as advertised coming out of high school and coming to the University of Oregon.
And Dan, you also know that when an athlete does something like that, they dig down and go places where an injury is so likely for a Joseph Fambule, who's already sort of a big, kind of tightish guy. But he races himself into 3rd and puts himself in contention of making it through on a time qualifier, but he's got to wait for the next 2 semifinals. Williams and Banks are through automatically.
Well, I like those times in the low 10-20s as well, Dwight, because as soon as that heat finished, it really started pouring.
That might be the savior for Fambule getting through to the final.
And I think some people, you know, they see the short stature of Makai Williams and they see him win the 60 meters. And last thing you want to do, though, is get labeled a 60-meter guy and not a 100-meter guy. But I think he put it to rest that he's not a 100-meter guy right there. He can handle the whole 100 meters. Then we see Javon Martin of Florida State. He's run the fastest time in the country in all conditions. Ranked number 2 in legal conditions. But think about it, Dwight. This guy 2 years ago had only run 10.4. And it was, he worked through 2020. He opens up the season, just believed in himself. Ricky Argrove said the main reason for him running so well this season is just his belief in himself and the system.
And out close to the outside in lane 8, the fabulous freshman Matthew Bowling of Georgia from Houston, Texas, the indoor NCAA 200-meter champion. Did it all at the conference. He's long jumped over 26 feet. And he's a threat in both the 100 and the 200. Of course, anchors their 4x100 relay.
Ran a really nice anchor leg for Georgia, too. Pulled them up earlier here in the first event in that 4x1.
There are the lane assignments for this second semifinal heat. First 2 finishers automatically qualifying through to Friday's final, where we're expecting the same kind of conditions. These conditions today were not forecast.
Georgia coach Althea Thomas said Michael can run with anybody in the country if he can get a good start. And that's what they've been working on the last month. Reacting in those first 2 strides.
Jojo Martin with a great start in lane 5, already in the lead. Cole Beck of Virginia Tech on the inside in 2. Here comes Matt Bowling out in 8. And Bowling, I think, is going to get 3rd. He was not in those top 2 automatic qualifying positions. Jojo Martin winning it in 10.12 with a 1.3 meter per second trailing wind. Devontae Burnett of USC right there with him with the same time, 10.12. And Bowling getting 10.15 for 3rd. So that's a solid time to move along, but there is 1 semifinal remaining.
Well, there was Matthew Bowling on the outside. He got a pretty good start, but it was Devontae Burnett from USC that got the great start, and Jojo Martin, he had to run him down. Devontae Burnett, he was the Pac-12 champion ahead of Michael Williams. So good start for him.
And when you just know it, the bubble time has moved to 10:21. That's the time that Joseph Fahnbulleh ran in semifinal number 1. There are the final results of heat number 2. Martin and Burnett both with 10:12. They automatically move forward. Bowling at 10:15. That's a good bet that he will move forward unless there's a giant tailwind suddenly come up in this third and final heat. And Javante Harding down there at 10:21 and 6. He is out of it. Will not advance.
Well, this rain doesn't seem like it's getting anybody down. They continue to run fast times down there.
Third and final heat on the track, and there he is, Terrence Laird. We saw him in the relay run his LSU team to victory in their heat. The junior, who hails from Coatesville, Pennsylvania, has been hot from the indoor season forward. Double champion at the SEC championships.
Well, into these championships, Dwight, there you see Sean Maswaganye from Houston. He's been running real well this outdoor season. He anchors that Houston 4x1 team. But Terrence Laird told me that he's had the opportunity to pace himself on occasion here later on in the season to get through the qualifying rounds. And he said here at these championships, it's all about go, go, go. Pedal to the metal, holding nothing back.
About the only thing of significance that he hasn't won this season is he was runner-up to Matthew Bowling in the NCAA 200 meters. There are the lane assignments. Another Florida State athlete in this heat. They have had a finalist in these 100 meters 8 of the last 10 NCAA championships. So Laird will be in lane 6. And then the freshman, Maswaganye of Houston, next to him in lane 5. There with a good reaction, as it was Brian Henderson next to him in Sam Houston. But look here, this is Maswaganye running away with this semifinal. Laird makes sure he's in second, so he automatically qualifies. But Maswaganye just hit a different gear at about 30 meters, came out of his drive phase and just was gone.
Still going.
10:14 for Maswaganye, shut it down. Laird at 10:21. It's a good thing he finished second because he would have been on the bubble to advance on time. No other advancers out of this heat, as third place was 10:34. That's Brian Henderson, who got a great start, by the way.
Well, it looked like Terrence Laird just had trouble getting going. Here you see Maswaganye pull away at about the 40-meter mark, and then Laird does make a move at the end. But you see Maswaganye look over like Laird did in the 4x100 meters, and then Maswaganye pulled a page out of the book of Carl Lewis and ran right through to the tunnel. And out the door he went. But an outstanding start for that young man, who has finished a lot of times second place to Terrence Laird this season.
There are the official results. Only the top 2 are going to move on, as 10:34 is well outside the bubble rate. That final time on thousandths, and they get them through. Fahnbulleh and Amoah at 10:21 are both going to qualify through on time. There are your advancers to Friday's final. It's going to be a hot one in 100 meters. We may be in the rain once again on Friday. A lot more from Eugene, Oregon. The men's 400 semifinals next on the track.
We are back at the NCAA Outdoor Track and Field Championships, and just to prove we're outdoors, look, it's raining people here in Eugene, Oregon. Want to remind you that over on ESPN3, we're streaming live field event coverage. The pole vault's going on right now. The long jump, Javon Harrison about to get started. The javelin throwers are out there as well as your weight throwers, the shot putters out there doing their business. Full coverage of the field events over on ESPN3, and that's streaming every day. You can see it on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday as well. Thursday, hammer, pole vault, javelin, shot put, and long jump, and then Friday and Saturday is high jump, discus, and the triple jump. Now on the track, Dwight, Dan, men's 400 meters.
Talked about it earlier. Michael Norman setting that championship and collegiate record here 3 years ago under conditions very similar to this. Good stat from the 100, though. 11 freshmen in the field out of 24 athletes. 5 of them in the final, most ever. 5 out of the 8 freshmen, as we now look at Noah Williams, the sophomore from LSU, who's number 2 in the world this year in the 400 meters.
His social media handle, International Noah, getting a lot of publicity this season, but he has not been beat, guys, in the 400 meters all season long. That includes indoors and outdoors. There we see Bryce Dedman from Texas A&M, who I think will, make this final and be Noah Williams' maybe biggest rival this weekend. But Noah Williams, imagine that. One time around, guys. No, you're undefeated in the 400 meters this season. He'll be the man to beat. There we see on the inside, want to throw him in there, Johnny Blockberger. He got this season started at the Jim Click Invitational, 44.71 as a freshman. He led the nation. He beat Bryce Dedman earlier this season.
By the way, this is a rematch of the SEC championship final between Noah Williams and Bryce Dedman. Lane 9 did not have an athlete show up. Ja'Cory Patterson of Virginia Tech did not make it to the starting block. So in this first semifinal of 3, with the first 2 finishers qualifying through to Friday's final, we have a rematch of a great race that we had at Texas A&M about a month ago between Noah Williams in spot 6 and Bryce Dedman in lane 7. Pretty even so far, with Dedman making a move on the backstretch. Williams kind of hanging back.
Well, Noah Williams said he likes to push that first 80 meters and then get into a comfortable stride on the backstraight, but Bryce Dedman really put some pressure on him. I think Noah wasn't able to relax maybe like he wanted to.
Dedman at a bit of a disadvantage because he can't see Williams. Williams with the advantage because he can see Dedman. Tyler Johnson making a race out of it there for Ohio State, and really pressing Dedman for that second spot. Now he's past him, and Johnson wins the heat with Williams second. So technically the first loss for Noah Williams this year.
Michael Johnson said prelims don't count.
But Dedman finishing 3rd, not an automatic qualifier. So at 45.48, he has to hope that that time holds up to advance him to Friday's final. Johnny Blockberger 4th at 46.40.
Well, Bryce Dedman really pushed the first 200 meters. He put a lot of pressure on Noah Williams and made Noah work in that 3rd 100, but it was Tyler Johnson on the outside, the Big Ten champion, who held firm there. I think this was a little faster than all of these guys, maybe a little more work than all of these guys wanted to put in. We've seen Noah Williams run faster than that, a little more relaxed, and maybe the weather's affecting some of these LSU athletes just a little bit.
Well, we've seen it over the years, the Southern athletes having a tough time when we come up here to Oregon, and the conditions are like this. Johnson winning the heat and automatically qualifying along with Noah Williams. Bryce Dedman at 45.48. He's got to watch these next 2 semifinal heats and hope that that time is one of the 3 fastest non-automatic qualifying times. Either way, he's going to end up with a crummy lane draw, but I'm sure that Coach Pat will be happy to see him in the final if he can get there. He is a senior as we get ready now for the second semifinal heat. And this is Randolph Ross, son of Dwayne Ross at North Carolina A&T, just a sophomore.
Well, Dwayne Ross, the head coach at North Carolina A&T, has just been tremendous in putting this program together. The program is so popular, he's having to turn athletes away, but Dwayne Ross, he was a hurdler, while Randolph Ross, great outstanding 400-meter runner. This guy could certainly factor into the finals. Well, North Carolina A&T, they have a fantastic 4x400-meter relay team as well. Randolph has Allison in lane 4 from Alabama. He was injured late part of the season, managed to score and get in the finals at the SEC meet, so he's been running better. And Jonathan Jones from Texas in lane 6. The sophomore from Barbados has been running well also.
It's Jonathan Jones for the Longhorns. the second of 3 semifinal heats in the 400 meters. And Randolph Ross moving nicely through that first turn and almost making up the stagger on Ryan Willie of Florida to his outside.
Well, I think Randolph Ross has seen the times in the last heat, and he really looked like he wanted to push here early on.
Jonathan Jones trying to keep pace with him, as is Michael Bluth. Coming into the final straightaway, it is Randolph Ross. Ryan Willie trying to make a move to get into second. Jonathan Jones of Texas trying to hang on. He's not going to be able to do it. Ryan Willie is going to get second, but it's an easy run. Ooh, maybe I spoke too soon. And down in lane 3, Sean Bailey of UTEP made a really strong finish, but didn't quite get there. Ryan Willie did hang on to that second automatic qualifying position. Bailey of UTEP getting third by 100th of a second. So Ross looking pretty easy and very aggressive in this second semifinal.
Well, he put the pressure on this field from the very first step. You get a lead like that at the 200 meters and then just hold it all the way to the end. That's just some really smart running. Not his best run of the year, but he knows how to pressure the rest of this field. And Ryan Willie, little Ryan Willie, the freshman on the outside, brings it all the way through the line. Yeah, he's definitely ahead of the UTEP athlete down there in lane 3.
So your automatic qualifiers both running excellent times. Ross and Willie automatically going through. Sean Bailey at 45.74. He's got one more semifinal heat to go through, and 45.78 is the bubble. That's Michael Bluth. So you got to run faster than that if you're going to finish third or fourth in this third and final heat. You can see the sun on the backstretch side of Hayward Field now. But still lots of clouds in the sky as we look at Trevor Stewart, the senior for North Carolina A&T, in this third semifinal heat of the 400.
He was second back in 2019, and that's really when he came onto our radar. We got to see him in the open 400, but also the 4x400 meters, and he does such a great job in that event. If he's behind, he is a fantastic chaser. Young man from Virginia.
Anchors their great 4x400 meter relay as we transition down into lane 2. This is Kentucky junior Dwight St. Hilaire.
Cruddy lane draw for St. Hilaire, but he's already run one race today, 4x100 meters. He anchored
East Regionals in Jacksonville less than 2 weeks ago. Was anchored in 43.70 by Trevor Stewart, who is in this heat running in lane number 6. He's already seen his teammate Randolph Ross win his heat and qualify through to Friday's final.
And Carol Lewis made a comment. She said, you know, talk about some other teams beside the SEC. But sorry, Carol, there's a lot of speed in the SEC. We see Elijah Godwin there from Georgia and Christopher Bailey representing the SEC as well from Tennessee.
7.
So there is the other Dwight St. Hilaire, going to start down in lane 2. The only advantage in that he can see everybody else in the race as it lays out. Christopher Bailey, there he is from Tennessee. So 3 SEC runners in this third and final semifinal heat. And they're having them stand up.
Well, they stood those athletes up because they were putting together a rhythmic clap for one of the javelin throwers, and there weren't that many people clapping, but if there's some rhythmic clapping going on here around that start-finish line, it could be an issue for some of these races.
So they reset. It's going to be a little cool down there at the starting line. That part of the track is not in the sun at this time of day. And there is a little bit of a breeze, but at least the rain has stopped. There's Dwight St. Hilaire of Kentucky, the senior, or the junior, I should say, from Trinidad and Tobago. You want to finish first or second to book your ticket to Friday's final. Trevor Stewart out nicely there for North Carolina A&T in lane number 6. Elijah Godwin pushing hard that first 200 meters.
That's what Godwin is certainly known for. He's going to run as hard as he can for as long as he can, as we see Stewart make his patented comeback from behind with 150 meters to go.
Jonathan Sawyer of Southeastern Louisiana was in it, but no longer. Stewart now taking control of the finishing stretch. Godwin trying to hang on for second, but it looks like Dwight St. Hilaire is going to overhaul him and get that second automatic qualifying position. Third finisher, Wayne Lawrence Jr. of Iowa, 45:36. The winning time for Trevor Stewart, making it look easy. St. Hilaire getting second, and Lawrence Jr. is not going to run fast enough to qualify through on time.
Well, Trevor Stewart, it looked like he might have been in last position at the 200-meter mark, but he's so confident in his finish. He paces that race out so well, and a guy who knows his pace is a good 400-meter runner. But then he just can go into that next year with about 150 meters to go, but he has a very efficient stride. He begins to tire, but he continues to swing his arms. But nice running on the inside as well as a bad lane draw for Dwight St. Hilaire. He featured the indoor heptathlon champion. This is Karel Tilga from Estonia. He's got the nation's top score, 8,484. There you see him in the middle of the track. Black uniform, Georgia across the front. He won't win the heat. Well, it's going to be, looks like a dead heat there with Asani Hilton on the outside, but this guy is your national leader. He's also got a spot on the Estonian national team going to Tokyo this year. This is Aiden Owens. He ran out of heat 3. He was third place at this year's NCAA indoor heptathlon and a non-finisher in 2019. He no-highted in the high jump, but he comes in the fastest sprinter in the group. There you see him on the outside from Michigan, but he hopes to represent Puerto Rico at the upcoming Olympic Games. But we'll see this guy dominate in the sprints, and we'll see Tilga dominate in more of the field events. There you see the points after one event. Aiden Owens from Michigan, 9:42. Will Daniels from Iowa ran well, 9:22 points for him.
Next event on the track, the men's 800 meters. 3 semifinal heats. There are the lane assignments. In this heat, featuring sophomore Finley McClear of Miami of Ohio and from Great Britain, as well as Cameron Jones, the senior from Clemson.
Cameron Jones, an easy ACC 800-meter winner. He's gone 145.47 this season. He did that at those championships. They almost lost their program.
They're back, baby.
Yeah, the uproar from felt that was an abomination for a program like Clemson's to be eliminated. So they got a bit of a reprieve. We'll see for how long, as we see Cameron Jones taking the lead in this first semifinal heat. The same qualifying configuration as we've seen for all of the lane races. First 2 finishers across the line will be automatically qualified to Friday's final. Then the next 3 fastest time over these 3 semifinal heats.
A couple Longhorns in this race as well. That's Yusuf Bizamana. He's your Big 12 800-meter champion, as well as Creighton Carroza.
52 seconds at the 400. That's an honest pace for
Absolutely.
a semifinal. And now that's Parker Raymond, the freshman from Indiana, who is marking Jones closely.
Look for the young man in 4th position, Finley McClear, to make a move from Miami of Ohio. He was your runner-up at the indoor championships over 800 meters.
Bizamana and Carroza both making a move to get into position. Remember, just the first 2 finishers automatically qualifying. Jones is out there clear, but he's been running hard from the front. McClear now making a move on the outside. Finley McClear of Miami of Ohio is going to win the heat, and Jones is going to pay for that front running. Bizamana getting second. Those are the automatic qualifiers. And Jones all the way back to 4th place. Looked like he had things well in hand. Bizamano winning the heat over McClear. Carroza of Texas finishing third, but Jones all the way down in fourth at 1:48.14.
And I was out here at practice and watching some of these athletes yesterday, Dwight, and I saw Finley McClear run the last 125 meters a half a dozen times yesterday as a warm-up. So he was definitely used to seeing this part of the track, but he was in 5th or 6th position at 200 meters, had to come all the way around the outside, but he has great closing speed.
So it's all about getting through to the final, because once you get in the final, anything can happen. There are the official results. Bizamano with a 200th of a second victory over McClear, but second is first in these semifinals. Carroza there at 1:47.46 has got to wait for 2 more semifinals to see if that time will hold up. Same situation applies to Cameron Jones, who really paid the price for running from the front. Moving things along now to the second semifinal heat. And this is Brandon Miller, the freshman from Texas A&M, the replacement for the graduating Devin Dixon, his last year at A&M. They always have an 800-meter runner, Dan.
Well, the NCAA indoor champion comes back and wins an SEC outdoor champion, and this is going to be a battle between front runners. Isaiah Jewett, the Pac-12 Milton Millard, the middle distance coach at Texas A&M, and he said Brandon's just going to run his race 51, 52 seconds for that last lap, but both guys do really like to lead from the front. I got a sentimental favorite down there though in lane 3, Devin Dixon. You know, he just coming back for that next year that he was given the opportunity to come back and compete for these guys.
Well, Coach Pat Henry said there's nothing wrong with him. He's just had a tough time getting
going.
Yeah, getting going from indoor to outdoor.
And he's managed to kind of click some ticks off here as he's gone through the races, but you don't know that he can get it back to where he was. I mean, the guy's run sub 145, so he's an integral part of their 4x400 relay, and he knows how to run this race. And also another front runner. See, a lot of front runners in this field. Not everybody can run in the front in their lanes until they break for the pole in the backstretch. There's Dixon. It looks like he's going to end up getting the lead. Jewett not exactly giving up, and then neither is Miller. So I guess they could run 3 abreast and all be leading, but it looks like it's going to be Dixon. Dixon, Jewett, Miller. Everybody trying to stay out of each other's way.
Well, Isaiah Jewett, he ran a fantastic race at the Pac-12 championships. He ran away from Cole Hawker and Charlie Hunter to win that title. Ran 1:45.16 and took over the number 7 all-time 800-meter position in the Pac-12. But both he and Brandon Miller, they got the fastest 2 times in the country.
53 seconds for the first 400, a full second slower than semifinal number 1. Jewett leading over Miller, with Dixon fading badly. Shane Streich of Lipscomb putting himself into the mix.
Miller kid just doesn't like to lose. He was like Bryce Hoppel a couple years ago, right? Don wasn't always the best, but he always ended up being the first guy across the line.
And Festus Legat of Iowa State trying to also get into the mix. So it's Jewett. It looks like it's going to be Streich of Lipscomb. He's going to win the heat. Ooh, and here it comes from Iowa. Lipscomb's Shane Streich wins the second semifinal heat. And did Jewett get through as an automatic qualifier or not? Yes, he did. So he gets the second spot, and it was very close with Festus Legat of Iowa State. Now they put him back into second and pushed Jewett down to third. So Jewett will now have to wait to see, and that was not exactly a sterling time. 1:47.43. That might have a tough time if this third semifinal heat goes out faster. It's a race of his own making. He went out in 53 and opened the door for a lot of people that we were not expecting to be in the mix. Miller fading to fourth.
Well, he really paid the price for that front running. Ran from the front the entire way. He now has to sit back and look to see what these other heats do. And you look at the time, and Strike he has run in the mid 146, so he's definitely had the credentials to be up there. Just a guy who took advantage of an opportunity there.
They're the official results. Brandon Miller. So a bit of an advantage for these third semifinal heat runners as we see the senior from Oregon, Charlie Hunter, who was the indoor 800 champion back in March at the NCAA meet.
He and Finley McClear battled it out. Charlie Hunter came out on top, but not only was he the national champion, he helped that Oregon Duck team win a national title. There's Luis Peralta. Peralta was fourth at this year's Pac-12 Outdoor Championships. Just a freshman. They got high hopes for this young man. Want him to come in here and contribute as Charlie Hunter steps out.
There are the lane assignments. Peralta down in lane 4 is the national record holder in the 800 meters for the Dominican Republic. And this crowd would love nothing more than to see the two Ducks get through to Friday's final. And there are some 800-meter runners that are on the bubble who are hoping that this one goes out slow. Third and final semifinal heat in the men's 800 meters. John Rivera of Ole Miss out there in lane 8. Looking like he might challenge for the lead. Peralta is also there. Son of Wisconsin. It is Peralta who gets the lead at the 200-meter mark. Charlie Hunter staying out of trouble there outside of lane 1. So Peralta and Hunter 1-2, giving the crowd a bit of a thrill. And this one's going out quicker, 52-26. As Rivera has a little bit of trouble, almost gets knocked off his feet. Little team tactic running there with Peralta and Hunter. Hassan and the All Red of Wisconsin in third. And that's Samuel Voles of Notre Dame in fourth.
And by positioning themselves like that, anybody who wants to go around them, they've got to go clear out to lane 3. There, as you see, Samuel Voles try to put a little bit of pressure on Charlie Hunter.
Hunter going, this is my house and this is my teammate. I'm going to do what I can to get us both through. Peralta starting to fade as Hunter takes the lead, followed closely by Voles. And Rivera also trying to get in position. Eric Brown of Auburn also trying to make a move. He's trying to have to go wide. There's Hunter. Peralta failing on the inside. He's out of it. It's Hunter followed by Voles. But here comes Eric Brown on the outside. Is he going to get that second spot? Yes! At the wire, Eric Brown picking up the second automatic qualifying position. Hunter winning the heat. And at 1:47.91, that is too slow for Voles to advance. So Brandon Miller and Isaiah Jewett from semifinal number 2 are going to get through into the final.
What does your coach tell you, Dwight? Run through the line. Always run through the line. Charlie Hunter looked like he protected Luis Peralta as long as he absolutely could. In that last 120 meters, he had to let it go. Just look at that. So close. You got to dive. You got somebody next to you. It's the difference between making it and not making it into the final. Give it everything you've got. Smart running by Charlie Hunter, though, all the way.
There are the official results. 0.02 of a second separating Brown from Voles. Brown gets the automatic qualifying position. Voles doesn't run fast enough to advance. So those are the 800 meters. When we come back to Hayward Field. It's the 400-meter hurdlers, the toughest in the sport, in my opinion, when we come back.
Decathlon, now he's trying to get a decathlon title on his second attempt. He bounces out to 24-7 and 3/4 for 939 points. So the decathlon is firmly underway. Tilga takes over the lead, 1,811. Will Daniels from Iowa, 1,805. But a long ways to go for these boys.
We get ready now for 3 semifinal heats of the men's 400-meter hurdles. Ride Benjamin. And this heat featuring Isaiah Livingston of Oklahoma.
Well, your national leader, 48.58. But I'll tell you, there's been a number of athletes who we'll see over the next 3 heats that have dipped down into the 48 seconds, and that's just an outstanding time for a collegiate. There's Will Spencer, just 1 lane outside of Livingston. He was DQ'd at the SEC championships. So he'll be looking for a little bit of redemption here at these championships.
Livingston out in lane 6, 6'7". Not a disadvantage in the 400-meter hurdles.
Kevin Young, world record holder, was pretty tall as well.
6'4". 13, well, actually 12. He would go 12 for the first couple of hurdles when he was really racing well. Same configuration for qualifying. Top 2 finishers automatically qualify to Friday's final. The next 3 fastest times over the 3 semifinal heats. Will Spencer moving early there in the back stretch. You can't miss him. The white uniform and white headband. Livingston is trailing at this point. And Livingston also has the advantage of being a left leg lead. So 6'7" and left leg lead. Those are 2 things in his favor. But it is all Will Spencer of South Carolina right now, the freshman in his first NCAA Outdoor Championships, now getting challenged by Charles Brockman of Texas. Spencer fading. Now Livingston back in the mix. It's going to be Brockman and Livingston, your automatic qualifiers, followed by Jonathan Harvey, the senior from Oregon, on the outside. He has to hope that his time will hold up. Winning time 49.59 for Brockman, with Livingston finishing second.
Well, there you see Isaiah Livingston, for Will Spencer. He got the great start, but Isaiah Livingston from Oklahoma just inside of him. He has such an interesting running style. He has his head back, so he always looks like he's laboring. Had to go to his off leg there, but Charles Brockman didn't seem like he let anything get him down. He was the one who was on rhythm, and he was on his dominant leg on that 10th hurdle. And when you can use your dominant leg, come off that hurdle and continue to accelerate, you're going to have the advantage over somebody who's on their non-dominant leg, and that's where you saw Livingston going over with a left.
So the automatic qualifiers are Brockman and Livingston. Harvey of Oregon at 50.16. It might just be the conditions are that you're not going to run a whole lot faster than that in these conditions. We will see 2 more semifinals to go. And these hurdlers are doing their final preparations. Interesting configuration of the preferred lanes here at Hayward Field. They are on these roundy round lanes. 6, 7, 5, 8, 4, 9, 3, 2, and 1. That's interesting. In lane 7 from Southern Cal, Cameron Samuel, as we look at Jamal Britt of Iowa, the junior from Las Vegas, Nevada.
Well, he ran a really nice 110-meter hurdle race. He'll be through to the finals. He's run 49.69. He was indoor runner-up in the hurdles, but to Damian Thomas, and there we go. There's Cameron Samuel from Moreno Valley, California. He was your Pac-12 champion.
And the Empire, number 6 on the 2021 collegiate list, Pac-12 champion, as you mentioned. He's run 49.09. It'd be nice to produce a time something like that right here, that would qualify him through to the final on Friday.
So it's a Pac-12 champ versus the Big Ten champ.
There are your lane assignments.
Let's go, Malik!
Checking the weather, it is in the low 60s right now. Plus add the wetness on the track. At least the rain has stopped and the sun has come out for the spectators on the backstretch. Third semifinal heat. Second, I should say, of 3 semifinal heats. Well, that looked like a dragged trail leg to me from Joshua Smith in lane 4. We'll have to see if that's the case. But getting back to the race, out there, Jamal Britt going nicely in lane 8. Of course, he has no one to look at now. Cameron Samuel right there. Samuel now taking the lead. Coming off the turn, it is Samuel of USC, and now Britt with some work to do as Malik Metivier of Auburn makes a move to get into the second position. Britt is gone. So Samuel wins it, followed by Metivier, of Auburn. He was third at the conference meet at the 400 hurdles, but now he's raced himself into the final here at the NCAA championships.
Well, Cameron Samuel has qualified for these championships for the 3rd time. But this will be the first time that he'll get a chance to go into the finals. Looks like Samuel's into a 15 stride here, coming down the stretch on his dominant leg. That right leg, you can always tell a dominant from a non-dominant, and he's most comfortable on that side. Just great acceleration all the way through as Jamal Britt fell off, and Metivier, he gets in there for that second spot. On the line a couple times on that straight. I don't think they're going to call it, though.
So that moves the bubble time down to 50-21 for the athletes in the 3rd semifinal to shoot it, and that is Joshua Smith, who I thought dropped a trail leg early in the race, but perhaps not, or he didn't get caught doing so. Samuel wins it. Metivier of Auburn getting second. And now the 3rd and 4th placers in this semifinal heat have to hope that the 3rd semifinal doesn't go as fast, and they will get through. As we get ready now for the 3rd semifinal heat, some of the hurdlers taking their final warm-ups. And that is Sean Squirrel Burrell of LSU, one of 15 men's semifinalists here, or finalists if it's field events, brought by LSU. I mean, just a dominant amount of people brought here. They really would have to have the wheels come off here in Eugene to not take away the men's team title, but we certainly have seen it happen. And just inside him will be the junior from Texas A&M, Motilel Mpoke.
He said he's ready to go. He has been improving every race, ran well at the SEC championships. He was your SEC champion, but he has even improved in the qualifying. 48.81 seasonal and personal best. I did get a chance to talk to Sean Burrell on the practice track yesterday, and I said, what do you want people to know about yourself? And he said, whatever you say about me, always include squirrel.
I did that.
It's like, you got it. You got it. But, coming from other people, I had a chance to talk to Damian Thomas and Terrence Laird, and he said, this kid doesn't act like a freshman. He acts like a senior. He's got experience. He's got confidence. And he's not... He was here visiting University of Oregon on his recruiting trip before he chose to go to LSU, and he was seeing this facility get built. So he said, yeah, this place doesn't impress me. I saw it already.
Mpoke and Burrell with the numbers 3 and 4 best times amongst the collegians this year. So a good head-to-head race. And with those times, we expect them to be the ones that get through, but that's why they have the race. Mpoke in 6. Sean Squirrel Burrell in 7. Caleb Dean of Maryland also out well in lane number 8.
That's a good start for Burrell. I love his approach. He is just go, 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 100%. He's going to, even if he does it incorrectly, he's giving it everything he's got.
Leonardo Legister from Texas A&M Corpus Christi also in the mix. Burrell, who hits that 9th hurdle hard, allows Mpoke to get in there. They both get over 10 cleanly, so it's going to be Mpoke and Burrell across the line for the automatic qualifying positions. 40. Very close to his lifetime best, just 400th of a second off his lifetime best. 49.06 for Burrell. So hard runs for both of them. And Legister of Corpus Christi will get through on time. He broke 50 seconds.
Well, this was a carbon copy, Dwight, of the SEC championships. It was these two guys battling it out over the last 100 meters. And even the same hurdle, Squirrel Burrell hit that same exact hurdle at Texas A&M to give the title to Mpoke.
Look at the difference in styles of the freshman. Just everything he can to try to claw himself to the finish line. And Mpoke winning the heat, but they both qualify through to Friday's final, as does Leonardo Legister of Texas A&M Corpus Christi with that sub-50 clocking. He has been under 49 seconds, but he runs well enough to get through on time here. So there are your advancers to the final. It took 50-17 to make it through to Friday's final. So when we return, we go back to the sprinters. Semifinal heats in the men's 200 meters when we return to Eugene, Oregon.
In the men's decathlon, the shot put is the third event on the schedule. This is Max Vollmer. He's your Pac-12 champion. Hails from Germany. He's got a personal best, 7,964 points this season. Just missed a personal best in the 100 meters there. He's in the far pit, the upper pit. Got a PR in the long jump, and he gets a personal best in the shot put as well. First throw, 51.5 for 832 points. There on the inside ring, that's Karel Tilga. He's your leader out of Georgia. He puts a big one out there. On his first attempt, he goes 50 feet 10, so PRs abound in the decathlon shot put. Tilga, your leader through 3, 26:31. Max Vollmer off a big shot put. He moves up into second position.
Next event on the track, 3 semifinal heats of the men's 200. Divine Oduduru of Texas Tech holds the meet record, and Walter Dix, Olympic medalist, with the collegiate record of 1969. And here's a man who dodged a bullet earlier in the 100 meters. A terrible start. He raced himself into a time qualifier in the 100. Here he is in the 200. Joseph Famboulé, the freshman. He's just driving Coach Mike Holloway, the Olympic coach, nuts with the way that he's competing. He's got the number 6 time in the world this year.
But we just have to remember, he's such a talented young man. He is just a freshman, and outside of him, another freshman, Lance Lang, who ran very well. He was 4th place at the SEC championships. But, you know, Famboulé, he'll get it figured out. You know, this is a great year of learning for him, but I think he's a better 200-meter runner than a 100-meter guy, because he has more time. He has more time to make up that space.
And the start isn't as essential as it is in the 100, of course. Same qualifying configuration like all the lane races. The first 2 finishers automatically qualifying to Friday's final, then the next 3 fastest times over the 3 semifinal heats. Famboulé in 8, Lang in 9. Famboulé with a terrible start once again. Lang running well out in 9. Eric Harrison of Ohio State's there in 7. And Southern Cal's Devon Burnett, who has already qualified through in the 100, now leading. But here comes Famboulé. Look at him. Long strides. Had plenty of time to recover from that start. He wins it. Very casual finish for Devontae Burnett. He might have gotten nipped by Robert Gregory. Yes, he did. For that second automatic qualifying position by 100th of a second. Neither of them really leaned for the tape for that second spot.
Well, as a coach, I don't care how frustrated you might get with Joseph Fahnbulleh. When you see him finish like that, you know he's an extraordinary talent. You just see he's so far behind at the start, but then at about 100 meters to go, he's able to make that transition from the turn, stand up nice and tall. Look at the yardage this guy covers on every stride. He pulls away from the field in the last 30 meters. This is a special, special individual.
I'm just flummoxed by the finish of the second and third placers. With only two to automatically qualify, neither really leaned at the tape, but Gregory gets the nod, automatically qualifies till Friday. Devontae Burnett has to wait out two more semifinal heats and hope that 20:41 holds up. May very well get a lousy inside lane draw as a result of qualifying on time as opposed to an automatic qualifier. We'll have to wait and see.
Well, Fahnbulleh came on so late, though, Dwight. I think he might have caught everybody by surprise. You know, Burnett, he might have thought that he was out front and was clear of the field.
Well, it is Matthew Bowling up next in this 200 meters. He will be starting out in lane number 7. He was the indoor NCAA champion. He's got the number 7 time in the world this year.
And there we get a look at Florida State's Kassan James. Hamstring tear in 2019. Quad injury in 2020. And this is as healthy as he's been. Ricky Argro, his coach, has said, and when Kassan James is running well, he's as good as anybody in the country. He actually ran away from some really fast guys at the Eastern Regional qualifying. Big part of their relay. He takes their relay up to another level.
There's the lane assignments. Matthew Bowling with the number 7 time in the world this year, but only 3rd at the SEC championship. That's how deep the sprinting is in that conference. Terrence Laird winning that title. We will see him in the next heat.
And Jovan Martin on the outside for Florida State. This heat is absolutely loaded.
Including Sean Maswangani of Houston in lane number 6. So there's going to be some good sprinters who are going to find themselves hoping that they're a time qualifier. Two Houston Cougars in here. Maswangani there on your screen, as well as his teammate Travis Collins down in lane number 4. Bowling with a good start, 3rd from the left of your screen. Inside him is Maswangani, who's making a move to make up the stagger, and he's done so. We saw him do this in the 100. Maswangani coming off with a good lead off the turn, but here comes Bowling. He's a second half runner. And then outside, Jojo Martin making a move, trying to get that second spot, but he's unable to do so. It's Maswangani and Bowling with the automatic qualifying spots, with Jojo Martin making it through in 3rd with a solid 20:30. That is a time that probably will hold up and push him through to the final.
Well, Sean Maswangani today is sending a message. There you see him with the white top and the red bottoms. He ran a fantastic 100 meters ahead of Terrence Laird, and here he is leading another SEC title holder, Matthew Bowling, all the way through the line. Leroy Burrell said, keep a look at this guy at the indoor championships, and he didn't come through then, but man, he is making a statement here on the first day of these championships.
So they're the official results. Maswangani winning by 1/10 of a second over Matt Bowling. They both qualify automatically. Jovan Martin with a 20:30 is likely to get through with a time like that. The bubble time is now moved to 20:62 with one. There is the man Terrence Laird of LSU anchored his team to an easy victory in the 4x100 meters. Had a tough time in the 100 though, automatically qualified but did not win the heat in second place. But this is his, in my opinion, this is his race, the 200 meters.
Well, I asked him about the cold weather yesterday, and, you know, the kid's from Pennsylvania. He said, hey, I've been in cold weather before, but he said it's all about the timing, you know, stripping down the sweats, taking those sweats off, doing your last run-throughs, and he says I've got this cold weather thing really well. So, you know, but I agree with you, Dwight. He is an outstanding 200-meter runner. If I were to give him a chance to make an Olympic team, it would be this event. He's run faster than Noah Lyles.
He'd be out in lane 6, and just outside of him in lane 7, this is junior Micaiah Harris, a Longhorn from Texas.
Well, he's a Texas school record holder, both indoors and outdoors. Heavy workload for him this week. 1-2, 4x1, 4x4.
So it looks like lane 5 is a no-show. That is Jordan Booker of Houston. Oh, there he is. Yep, there he is.
Joseph Amoa out in lane 8. He was the final qualifier in that men's 100 meters from Coppin State.
Another North Carolina A&T entry. And Javante Harding, the freshman, down in lane 4 for the Aggies.
With one race to run.
He was a champion in the MEAC conference at the 100, 200, and both relays.
Harding runs the leadoff leg for North Carolina A&T.
So let's see if Laird's got something to show us here in this third and final semifinal heat. Third from the left of your screen is Laird. Inside him, Jordan Booker of Houston. It is Micaiah Harris right there putting pressure on Laird. Laird within himself here just wanted to win the heat. He does so over Micaiah Harris, with Javante Harding finishing third, but now it comes down to the time. Harding is going to get through on time. Laird wins it, Harris second. Harding with a 20:28 will advance on time.
I go back to an earlier conversation that I had with Terrence Laird this season, and he said that he struggled with back spasms, and nothing is worse for your back than cold weather. If you can't get your back right, get loose. That's where it's probably going to affect you the most, but he says it's under control now, but he does such a great job. Nobody has the top end speed quite like he does. And we probably aren't going to get it, but we'd love to see a little bit warmer weather on Friday for these finals. But Terrence Laird is just, every time out, he expects something fantastic from him, and he just continues to impress.
Results of that third and final semifinal heat with Laird and Harris getting through automatically. And there are your qualifiers to final. It took 20:41, and Burnett did end up getting that final position. When we return, it's the 10,000.
Event of the first day, the 400 meters. I like the fact getting it to the final event of the first day, but didn't like the fact that it was the 400 meters, although I had to find a love for all.
Many times. See the bird nest up above the new Hayward Field facility here in Eugene, Oregon. Decathlon, here are the records. The championship record held by the double Olympic champion Ashton Eaton, and Lyndon Victor of Texas A&M has the collegiate record. 2 heats of this decathlon 400 meters. 3, I should say, heats of the decathlon 400 meters. I did promise the 10,000, but first, 3 heats of the decathlon 400 meters.
Well, and it looks like they have seeded these athletes according to their personal best in the 400 meters. There's Aiden Owens. He sits in 3rd position. He's 210 points behind Tilga, but he's an outstanding 400-meter runner, just a sophomore, transferred over from University of Southern Cal. And there's Max Vollmer. Now, a good 400-meter runner. He runs in the mid 48s, 48:38. Vollmer is in 5th position.
So here's my question for our stats guy. Is Vollmer related to discus thrower Tim Vollmer, one of my Olympic teammates in 1972? There is a resemblance. So you guys get on that for me.
Aiden Owens, who has run 46:78, he'll be out in lane 8. Vollmer in the middle of the track, and Dwight, it's guys like Vollmer who benefit probably the most from the crowd, from that home crowd. It's that maybe not the overall champion, but the grinder who's going to be able to hear this crowd and let it lift them up.
Also doesn't hurt to be competing at home and also being used to this weather.
There's the Aiden Owens on the top of the screen there, second from the left. Now he overtakes Jordan Toney from Connecticut. But I like this aggressive approach by him. My approach was always run as fast as you can to the 300 meters and just hold on. It looks like that's what Aiden Owens is up to.
Well, he's running it like just a time trial. It's hard to run this race under any conditions, but to run it by yourself is even tougher. But he is giving it everything he has. Aiden Owens out in lane number 8. Still holding up pretty well. His technique holding up.
Swing your arms. You got to swing your arms at the finish of this thing.
47:28. He is a 46:78 guy, so he was within a half a second of his lifetime best in less than ideal conditions. On paper, clearly the class of the field in that heat, and he ran like it.
Well, guys who run a good 100 meters, Dwight, I'm always surprised that guys who run a good 100, sometimes they don't come back and run a good 400, but you have the ability, and that you just have to believe. If you're a good short sprinter, you can be a good long sprinter. Aiden Owens certainly is both. Like his intensity, love to see him drop his arms down a little bit, but also a good run by the sophomore from UC Irvine, Josh Farmer, who finished second in that heat.
Farmer posting a 48:61 and finishing second in that heat. There are the official results. Owens with 47:30, Farmer 48:61, and Jordan Toney of Connecticut at 48:90.
There we get a look at Alex Spiridonidis. He was the second place finisher at the SEC Decathlon Championships this season. Just a junior from Auburn. Has run 50:62 as a personal best. Spiridonidis, he's in 8th position right now. And there's somebody we're familiar with, Dwight, Asani Hilton, the Texas Relays champion.
From Stephen F. Austin. He will be out of lane 2. And this just in, Max Vollmer is a German, so not related to Tim Vollmer.
Asani Hilton, I like his lane position here. He's cleared that in lane 2. And he's run the fastest of everybody in the field, and he'll get a chance to look at everybody on his outside. This is an opportunity for him to go by those guys on the stagger, come home with a personal best. And Asani Hilton is sitting in 6th position right now.
Aaron Booth there in lane 3, Long Beach State 49er, my alma mater. Every few go-rounds, they have a good multi-eventer that makes it to the national championships. Noah Swaby of Penn State there in lane number 6. Second section of the they might have the better weather tomorrow. Will be competing on Friday. Asani Hilton getting out very quickly in this first 100 meters. And watch him slowly but surely make up the stagger on the rest of the quarter mile goes in this heat. Adonis out on the outside, having to run blind.
And as a multi-event athlete, a decathlete, this is where you really begin to feel it. About 150 meters to go. Hilton doing a good job on the inside, but everybody pretty close at this point.
Lane number 4, that's Joseph Keys of Marquette that is right there with Asani Hilton. Keys getting under his lifetime best of 49.92 with a 49.84. Asani Hilton a bit off his best, a little more than a second slower than his best.
So important in the decathlon. This is where you have to take all the things you've learned about sprinting and put them to work. Where's your head position? What are you doing with your arms? When you are fatigued, when you are tired, you have got to continue executing proper running mechanics. Hilton's on the flats of his feet. You see him just really struggling, and coaches always said, you know, if you look tired, you're gonna just run slower. If you gotta convince your own self that I'm not tired, and I'm gonna keep it together with form.
Well, plus once it's over, your day is done.
Yes.
There are the official results. Keys with the win. Hilton second. 9:30 a.m. start tomorrow for the second day of the decathlon. It's a little cool in the mornings here in Eugene at this time of year as we look at Karel Tilga of Georgia, our current leader, by about 80 points. He is in front.
You got places 1, 2, and 4 in this heat. Tilga has run under 50 seconds, 49.53. Leo Neugebauer from Texas, the freshman, big German from Texas. He's in this heat as well. He's in 4th position, and Will Daniels from Iowa sits in 2nd position. He'll be 1 lane inside of Tilga in lane 6.
There's Will Daniels of Iowa.
I was going to say Will Daniels has run 50.45. Neugebauer, same personal best, 50.45. The Arkansas sophomore multi-event / pole vault specialist, Daniel Spacher, he's run 49.60. And there's Marcus Belangi. He's on the inside in lane 3. And Belangi, not off to his best start, is in 11th position.
That Estonian Olympic team is a tough team to make in the multi-events. A lot of depth for such a small country.
And it just so happens right now that Petros Kyprianou, the multi-event head coach at Georgia, is coaching the 3 guys who right now are on that Estonian Olympic team, and that's Johannes Erms, 2019 NCAA champion, Karel Tilga, and Mike Wieba.
Come on, Tilga, let's go, baby, get up.
And voice of encouragement, Garrett Scantling, a former NCAA champion in the decathlon while at Georgia as well.
Third and final section of the decathlon 400 meters. This will conclude day 1 for the multi-eventers.
Good start for Tilga there in that first 100 meters. You can always tell a guy in the decathlon 400 how fast he wants to run by his intensity in the first part of that race. In that first 100 meters, he really went out.
Well, Tilga had Wade Waller of Michigan State out there for the first 200 meters to sort of point to. Now it's Leo Neugebauer making a move, and Belangi just inside of him as well. But Tilga going very well with 100 meters remaining. Tilga's going to win the section. Tilga just crawling for that, scratching for that finish line. 49.09. That is a lifetime best for Tilga.
Lifetime best for the leader, 49.10 Spaceship. 49.75, just shy of a lifetime best.
So a good way to assist A&M. Here's the University of Kentucky that will start in lane number 6. They are the reigning SEC championships, and they were the runners-up indoors at the NCAA championships.
And the better part of their speed is in the 2 middle legs. Lance Lang, the 200-meter specialist, and the short sprinter specialist, moves up to 400 meters. He always gives them a great leg. And then Dwight St. Hilaire will run third leg, and they'll leave it up to Kennedy Leitner to bring home the anchor. They are your SEC champions, running 3:01.
And we can't stress how difficult it is for many of these southern teams, Southeast Conference teams especially, to come into this kind of weather. Upper 50s, low 60s. It's damp. It's been raining. There are the lane assignments. Kentucky in 6, USC in 7. Florida also down there in lane number 5. You always have to worry about the personnel that Coach Mike Holloway can bring to a national championship race.
And a freshman, Ryan Willie, who did get through to the finals in the Open 400, he'll run the leadoff leg for Florida.
Semi-final 2 in the 4x400 relay. First 2 teams across the line will automatically qualify through to Friday's final. The rest, the remaining 3, will be determined on time.
Well, Kentucky looks like they're out to a good start with Kenroy Williams. Excuse me, that's USC out there. Nicholas Ramey.
Kenroy Williams actually having a tough first leg for Kentucky. This is Ramey bringing the baton in first for USC. They will pass first. Florida right behind them. Chance Sawyer takes the baton from Ryan Willie, and it is Brian Herron for the Trojans.
46.6 for Nick Ramey SC. So it is USC, Florida.
Kentucky trying to get back in this one with Lance Lang.
Kentucky now moving up into third.
USC, Florida, Kentucky, and Arkansas.
USC, Florida, and Kentucky. And it's very, very tight here as we go into the third.
USC going to pass first, followed closely by Florida. USC, it's Cameron Samuel. And for Florida, Jacob Miley. And it's Dwight St. Hilaire for Kentucky.
USC, Florida, and Kentucky, Dwight St. Hilaire, who qualified for the 400.
Well, Dwight did a good job there, just moving out to lane 2 and running completely in his own lane. He could have, so easy sometimes to lean into the guy on the inside lane, but he ran himself clear. Now he can hit the straight and move into that first position.
But by doing it that way, he ran 4 meters further, which in a race like this, 4 meters can be a lot. Kentucky and USC handing off together, but SC makes the better baton pass. Florida still in the mix. It's Southern Cal, Kentucky, Florida to fight for those automatic qualifying positions. For USC, this is Isaiah Jewett. For Kentucky, Kennedy Leitner.
Well, and watch out for Baylor. They made a huge move back there. That's Howard Fields the third.
Suddenly a 5-team race. USC Stephen F. Austin making a room, trying to overhaul Kentucky. They're not going to be able to do it, but they do.
304 flat. Kentucky.
By Cameron Samuel. Kentucky does get the second spot with Stephen F. Austin in third in a solid time that very likely will qualify through to the final. Came out of nowhere on that anchor with a great relay carry, 45.66 by Ahmed Robinson. All right, as we get ready for the third and final semifinal, let's quickly pivot over to another final, another point-scoring event, the shot put.
All right, well, let's take it over to Turner Washington. He's been the national leader most of the year from Arizona State. They continue to produce great shot putters, and in the third round, he blasts one over the line, 69.2 3/4. He's also going to throw the discus. He's going to be your winner today. He's an intercollegiate record holder. And then this is Jordan Geist, also from the Pac-12. On his fourth attempt, he goes 66.11.5. He'll finish in third position. And in the fifth round, this was Pip Trippery. Adrian Pippery, we call him Pip. He's the defending champ. He would finish in second position on a big throw in the fifth round, 67.11.5. But it's Turner Washington who come home with the title, besting the field by over 1.5 feet.
Here are the official results of that second heat. USC with 304 flat, followed by Kentucky. Those are your automatic qualifiers. And Stephen F. Austin coming out of nowhere on that anchor with a very fast time that very likely will qualify into Friday's final. Third and final heat in the 4x400. This features LSU, the #2 collegiate team this season. Dorian Kamel will be their leadoff runner. And Sean Squirrel Burrell, their 400-meter hurdler, will anchor.
I always like a 400-meter hurdler just because of the strength they possess. They got always have great fitness. But LSU also hasn't had to run their best teams. You know, we didn't see them run their best team at the SEC championships.
And as the ever-present Texas A&M, they're synonymous with 4x400 running. Here's Motalel Mpoke, their 400-meter hurdler that will lead off, and Bryce Dedman, who got in on a time qualifier in the open 400, the senior from Missouri City, Texas. He will anchor the Aggies, and we will see Devin Dixon on second leg for A&M. There are the lane assignments. A&M out of lane 6, LSU lane 7. This is the concluding race of day 1, men's semifinals. Too much noise, they call him up.
A number of teams in this heat have the ability to get under that bubble time. Arizona's gone 3:04.10. BYU has run 3:04.52. TCU in there as well. They've run 3:04.
And it's cheering in the backstretch for Branson Ellis, Stephen F. Austin, who made 86.5 on his first attempt.
So enthusiastic LSU teammates making a lot of noise around the starting area.
Still have the javelin being contested in the field event and the men's pole vault.
Remember, track and field is a team sport at the high school and collegiate level, especially when you're at a national championships and you have a team that's a big favorite to win the team title, like the LSU men. third and final semifinal in the men's 4x400 relay.
With the fastest 400 hurdler of the day, and A&M is in lane number 6.
3 pros remain in the javelin. Frank DeSantis of Southwest Louisiana currently in
Florida State's Alex Collier, the freshman, doing a good job for the Seminoles out in lane number 8. And Poke a little bit behind, but 400 hurdle strength should kick in here any moment. And Dorian Kamel for LSU now making up the gap a little bit.
Well, that's David Seal for TCU inside of Texas A&M. He's having a good run for the Horned Frogs.
And on the outside, it's Arizona that passes the baton first. Calvin Wilson now on second leg for the Wildcats. Now Florida State making a move with Ari Cogdell. And right now LSU well back. Sean Squirrel Burrell running the second leg. Devin Dixon running second for Texas A&M. Again, LSU with the second fastest time of the season. Needs a big effort from Burrell right here. Oh, and that Florida State runner goes down. And BYU now into the lead. Landon Maxfield running a great second leg. And the Cougars pass off second, or first. A&M in second. A&M now in control to some degree. A great pass from Dixon to Atiwe, and they will hand off to Bryce Dedman. Tennessee now in the mix. We haven't seen them before. They're in second place. TCU third. Arizona now back to fourth.
That's Johnny Blockberger for the University of Arizona, and for TCU, that's Robert Gregory.
And LSU just well back, considering the second fastest team in the country this year. There's Sean Burrell. They moved him back to anchor after they submitted the sheet for the running order, but Texas A&M just running away with this. And Blockberger trying to hang on for Arizona. He did not make it through in the open 400, and he's fading badly here, but he hangs on, and Arizona gets in on an automatic qualifier in second. TCU finishing third, 44-47 for Johnny Blockberger. Redeeming himself from the 46 high open, I should say 45.96 for Blockberger, but for Dedman 44.47. He didn't run the open 400 like that.
Well, and he really gave it the gas in that last 70 meters. He just felt good, and it was within him. And as a coach, you don't ever want to say hold anything back, even though when you got to lead that big, he had great rhythm, and I look forward to seeing that in the finals.
Well, we're not going to see a time qualifier out of that heat. Let's take a look at the fall. It's awfully tough to discern what exactly happened. A little tangling there between TCU and FSU, and just gets out of balance and goes down.
And when you're that tired and you got 80 meters to go, I mean, you're just running on fumes at that point. Any stumble, any track, any spike in the track, you're gonna go down hard. But it's all Texas A&M, and just like on the women's side, these guys always manage to put a fantastic 4x4 team out there. Squirrel Burrell on the outside tried to make up a lot of ground.
LSU ran 3:08. They had a really tough run with all four of their runners. A&M run 3:04.53, which is not a great time, but enough to win. Arizona gets through with 3:07, a time that would not make it as a time qualifier. TCU, even if they're DQ'd for that, what I think is incidental contact, it wouldn't matter because it took 3:04.95 in these conditions to get into that final. That was the Baylor time from the second heat. So there are your finalists. It's going to be a hot one between North Carolina A&T, USC, and Kentucky. The final event on the men's side on Friday, John.
Take a look at the NCAA Outdoor Track and Field Championship coverage coming the next couple of days. Women's qualifying is tomorrow, and then the men's finals come back here on Friday. That's when we hand out titles and championships, and the women's will be here Saturday at 3 o'clock. Thanks for